Hey guys, what's up? All right. Let's put this down a little bit. Right about there. Cool. All right. So the Conquest, Last Argument of Kings, new tournament scenarios just dropped a few minutes ago. I have not read this at all, so let's go ahead and look over this together. Why not? Hopefully you'll be able to catch me live and we can chat. Either way, I'll timestamp this after the video is done rendering or finalizing or whatever. So I'll be keeping track of the timestamps. Army list. Let's just skip that. Points values. We'll skip that. Size of battle. We'll skip that. Let's bring this down just a little bit, my mic, so it's not in the red when I'm yelling into it. Okay, great. Building an army. We'll skip that. Warlord. Skipping that. I'm assuming there are no big changes here, so I'm not going to read all of these. Warbands, I'm sure there's no changes there. Optional upgrades, I'm sure there are no changes there as well. Organized play, additional building rules seems the same as before at a quick glance. Setting up the battlefield. Okay, I think this might be new. We recommend that you play the Last Argument of Kings in a 6x4 battlefield. However, now remember that's recommending. Okay. However, if you decide to use larger forces and would like to play a much bigger battle, you can agree with your opponent on a different battlefield size. All right. Each scenario diagram has a 72-inch by 48-inch battlefield divided up in a grid made of smaller 12-inch by 12-inch squares. When determining where an objective marker or zone is placed, simply add up the sides of each square to find the exact coordinates. Cool. Points of interest can only be found centered in one of 12-inch by 12-inch squares, at the center of one of the 12-inch by 12-inch square sides, or in or on a square's corner. Now, I wonder if points of interest are actually defined here. I think that might be an issue with the rules writing in Conquest, is that these game concepts are created, but they are not bolded or identified somewhere, probably in an index of rule terms. So what is a point of interest? Well, we know it's going to be the zones and the markers, but for clarity and cleanliness of rules and understanding, that should be in all caps. Points of interest should be in all caps, and it should be its own game term defined somewhere. You know, points of interest equals objective zones, objective markers somewhere with other game terms, but anyway. Or just say objective zones and objective zone markers can only be found. This just creates a little more confusion when it comes to understanding what rules mean in reality. Okay, cool. Terrain is an important part of Conquest, the Last Argument of Kings, as your forces interact with the environment, either by taking cover in dense forests or garrisoning vantage points. Sorry, no one plays garrisons in this game. I think a couple people might in some friendly games, but garrisons are not used in tournaments because they make spells and volleying regiments way too strong, and I've never played in a single game with garrisons, but I know that they have garrisons in the game, so we'll include that in the fluff. Got it. Each's terrain with an S. That's interesting. Each terrain piece should be prearranged by the TO, and the layout will not change throughout the course of the event. Cool. In the case where terrain placement conflicts with any rules, terrain pieces, or a terrain piece being placed on an objective zone marker. Interesting. Objective zone marker. That's cute. Then the players call the TO or a judge, and they can readjust the terrain placement. Terrain follows all normal rules found in Chapter 10 of Conquest with the following changes and additions. Interesting. So after round 1, you're sure to come across some inconsistencies with the objective zones and markers and terrain placement. Have that hashed out with the TO. No piece of terrain is placed on top of an objective marker. Well, that's a big change from the last time. Last time you could have zonal terrain right under a marker, but now you can't, which is fine. No piece of terrain is within 9 inches of another piece of terrain. No piece of terrain should have a footprint. Already know that. Smaller terrain pieces can be grouped together to form a single piece of terrain. A lot of people ask this question with a Song of Ice and Fire terrain. What do I do with a Song of Ice and Fire terrain? Because it's a lot smaller. Well, this was actually answered in the previous pack, and this is also now answered here as well. Just clump them together to make a single piece that's roughly 6 by 9 inches. Okay? Can only include up to 2 pieces of garrison terrain on each battlefield. Must include at least 2 pieces of terrain with the obscuring special rule. I think the ink was running out when they printed this PDF. Or is that just me? That's just me. Must include at least 2 pieces of terrain with the obstructing special rule. When the TO sets up terrain pieces, it is important to keep both sides of the table fairly symmetrical to ensure a fair game. On a side note, I don't believe in this notion of a fair game, but that's not this discussion. But I get what they're getting at here. The battlefield should contain about 6 pieces of terrain, but no more than 8. Like the wording they use is very flourishing. I like the wording they use. It's like they're writing a story while they put into the rules, you know. A battlefield should contain 6 to 8 pieces of terrain. That's how I would write it, but I'm not a writer. Now this is different than before. Before it had 8 to 10. But before, when you could stick terrain directly under a marker, you could fit 10 pieces of terrain. So this is a pretty decent change. Now I already know it's going to happen because my local group, or at least I, play with tournament rules. I'm going to have my battle reports with only 6 pieces of terrain, and I'm going to have the typical knuckle draggers who don't understand how terrain works in this game lambasting me for my games for only having 6 pieces. So I'm already preparing myself for that. I don't know, maybe I should have another troll stream where I have an entire table filled with lava and people actually think that was serious. Like, additional terrain rules. Interesting. Zonal terrain with this special rule does not allow line of sight to be drawn through it. Obstructing, okay. Stands that are on a piece of obstructing zonal terrain can draw line of sight to enemy regiments and vice versa. Yeah, because in the base rules, you actually can't draw line of sight through... Actually, hold on. I'm thinking obscuring. Why is this an additional terrain rule? This isn't the base rules. Obstructing. Yeah, this is already in the base rules, so I don't know why that's here. Assign character stands, got it. Reinforcements, got it. I'm not going to go over that. A heroic end. This is already in the previous rules, I believe, but there are rare occasions where one of the 2 players have their force completely destroyed during a battle. When a player has no more regiments under their command, either on the battlefield or expected to arrive from reinforcements, their army is considered to have met a heroic end. Beating a heroic end does not automatically trigger a loss. Instead, the player that still has regiments available to them will continue playing each remaining round, performing their actions and gaining victory points as they normally do. At the end of the game, a player compares... At the end of the game, the players compare of VPs, and the players with the most VPs win the battle as normal. Cool. Fight the battle. Got it. Objective markers and zones. All right, let's go into this, right? Let's see. An objective zone refers to a circular area on the battlefield, usually 6 inches or 9 inches. I don't know why they say, like, usually. It's either 6 inches or 9 inches. What do you mean, usually? Usually, in English, means that sometimes they get 5 inches, sometimes they get 10 inches. An objective zone refers to a circular area on the battlefield, usually 6 inches or 9 inches in diameter, used to denote areas of interest. Okay, well, there you go. An area of interest. Still not a game term and still not defined somewhere. Just kind of thrown in there. When a stand overlaps an objective zone, then that stand is considered to be within range of an objective zone. Cool. Certain scenarios refer to some objective zones as friendly to one player or the other. Friendly zones cannot be seized by the player they are friendly to. Objective zones can be seized and interacted with from the beginning of round 2. Yes. Thank you. That was not changed. I love it. Round 2 is perfect for this game. Seizing objective zones. Okay. Let's read this together, folks. Because I was very confused about this last time. Players with the most stands within range of an objective zone claims that objective. Okay. Claims the objective. Got it. Light non-monster stands do not count towards seizing objectives. However, stands capable of seizing an objective will still need to outnumber any enemy light stands in range of the same objective to seize it. Cool. Stands capable of seizing an objective still need to outnumber any enemy light stands. Okay, so if I have 3 light stands on a zone, and you have 2 medium stands on the zone, the stone... neither of us seize that objective. You need to outnumber my light. So if I have 3 lights on a zone, you need to have 4 mediums on a zone. Okay? Because this says stands capable of seizing. Alright? That's interesting. The player with the most stands within range of an objective zone claims the objective. Cool. So I have 4 mediums. You have 4 mediums. Neither of us get it. But if I have 4 mediums and you have 5 mediums, you get it. However, stands capable of seizing an objective still need to outnumber any enemy light stands in range of the same objective to seize it. So if I have, let's say, 3 lights, and you have 2 lights and 2 mediums, you have 4, right? So you fulfill this first one. You have more stands. Of course, I don't know what claims that objective even means. It's not a game term. We're talking about seizing here. But, remember, the however is a but. However, but, stands capable of seizing an objective, those 2 mediums, still need to outnumber any enemy light stands in range of the same objective to seize it. That means if I have 4 lights and you have 2 lights and 2 mediums, you don't get it. If you have 2 lights and 3 mediums, meaning 5 stands, you don't get it. What you need would be 2 lights and 5 mediums to get it. Okay? So keep that in mind, folks. Lights will stop people from getting zones, and you need a giant amount of seizing stands to get the point. So what's the point of the Jarl Supremacy? Because the Jarl Supremacy counts your lights as seizing. Okay? So if I have 4 light raiders and a light shaman, that's 4, and you have 2 mediums, I have 4 stands that can seize, you only have 2. I get it. The Jarl Supremacy, in effect, turns your stands into like bootleg medium stands. Okay? That is confusing. What if one player has 2 lights and 2 mediums, and the other player has 3 mediums? Who scores? Neither. Because the first player has more physical stands, but you don't have more mediums than the opponent. Actually, 2 mediums and 3. Yeah. Neither would get it. Okay? 2 lights, 2 mediums, and the other 3 mediums, who scores? Neither. Basically, the first player would need 2 lights and... Actually, the first player would need... First player gets it. Okay, let's do this. Let's bust out the Photoshop. We're going to have to do this, folks. All right. Give me a second while I set this up. Let's see. Okay, cool. I don't think we need this 3. I don't even think we need the numbers. Let's get the numbers out of here. All right, now I'm going to put this marker away. Okay. Now, for the purposes of this discussion, this entire screen is a zone. So the circle is larger than the screen. We got it? Good. It's all a zone. Cool. Actually, we do need 1 and 2. We'll put the 1 here, and we'll put the 2 here. Okay? Now, blues are lights, and reds are mediums that can score. I'm putting aside monster stands and whatnot, okay? So we're keeping it simple for now. All right? In this instance here, player 1 will score. Because there are 2 conditions. You have to have more stands, and you have to have more mediums than lights. Remember that. So, in your example, 2 lights with 2 mediums versus 3 mediums, which we have right here, okay? I believe it would be better to count lights as half. I'm not even getting into that stuff. I get what you're doing, but I'm not even going to get into that right now. So the first criteria is having physically more stands that can claim the objective, all right? That's the first criteria. The second criteria concerning light stands is that you have to have more mediums than lights. So, player 1 has 3 mediums. Player 2 has 2 mediums, 2 lights. Even though player 1 has more mediums, that's irrelevant. The first criteria is more stands. The player here on the right has 4 stands. The player on the left has 3. So player 2 gets it. The player with the most stands within range of an objective zone claims it. That's the issue. I don't know what claiming means. Okay? I don't even know why this is here. This is very confusing. But let's go ahead and go back to the example here. Player 2 has 4 stands. Player 1 has 3. Player 2 gets it. But you may say, Diego, medium stands count as 1 stand for the purpose of seizing objectives. Sure. This is my issue with some of the rules writing. I'm sorry to be a little negative. I'm not. I'm just being, you know what? I'm being objective. This is just honesty. I don't know why this exists. I don't know why the term claims exist. This should not be here. So, you know what? For now, I'm just going to ignore this top part right now because my head's spinning right now. This is actually my issue with the previous tournament packet and the previous scenario packet. It had the same wording. And no one in my area knows how to seize objectives. Nobody does. We just assume it through intent. We actually don't know how it works. So I'm ignoring this. Okay? I'm going to go right down into these bullet points. Okay? Medium stands count as 1 stand. So, player 1 has 3 medium stands. Player 2 has 2 medium stands. So player 1 would seize the objective. Okay? Now if, let's say, that's 3 right there. Okay? Player 1 has 3 medium stands and player 2 has 3 light stands and 1 medium stand. We look at the rules. Stands capable of seizing an objective still need to outnumber any enemy light stands. Not the total number of stands, just the light stands. So they basically cancel each other out. Player 1 has 3 mediums, player 2 has 3 lights. Even though I only have 1 medium, even though player 2 only has 1 medium, The lights and the mediums cancel each other out, and player 2 has that one medium. So player 2 would hold it. This kind of falls under the player with the most stands takes the zone. But here's the thing: if you're Parabellum and you're watching this, I know when you write the rules, it sounds clear. When you have your play testing of like 8 guys in a room somewhere, it's very clear, or at least one of you says it's clear, and the other 7 just kind of nod their head. And they don't, and they do the little echo chamber. Yeah, sure, we get it. The rest of the world, they're confused by this stuff. This is way too confusing. This should be simplified. Okay? Because this is an issue that people just kind of let go for the past, 6 months under the previous packet. And it hasn't been fixed now. And this should be fixed. This is way too complicated. I've even looked at the Discord answers that Mr. Leo has given over the years for various questions or various editions. And the answers all over the place. I can't get like a defined how to score in this game. So basically, you have to have more stands than your opponent, and you have to have more mediums and lights. It really comes down to that. It's really weird. So you can have a situation like this, where, let's say, we can just get rid of, I guess, this one, and this one. That one. Cool. So player 1 has 1 medium, player 2 has 1 light and 1 medium. Okay? I'm sorry. We'll go with the example that Ashby gave. So this player has 2 mediums. I'm sorry, 2 lights and 2 mediums. And the other player has 3 mediums. Who scores? If you go by this bullet point, player 2 scores. If you go by this up here, just counting the total, player 1 scores. If you mix them together, nobody scores. See the issue with this? If both rules are true, which here, neither rule is said to supersede the other, or neither rule says one is, always and one is never, that kind of rules issue, right? If you go by both of these, neither player scores. And if you go by one or the other, either player can score. And that's just unacceptable for laymen who play the game. And layman is not an insult, folks. It's just a description of someone who doesn't understand the esoteric nature of technical writing or rules or a specialized field. I've talked about this in my video, which you guys should watch, about rules of intent, rules as intended versus rules as written. You can never convey intent to another person. That's not how human rational communication works. You need to convey objective, clear concepts, which you need objectively clear language to do so. So, how does seizing objective zones work? I don't know. But we're going to move on from this because I've already made my point there. I thought that was going to get fixed by now, but it hasn't been fixed. Okay, so objective markers. This looks like, on first glance, the same as before because none of it's in red. So we're going to skip all this stuff. Well, that's the thing. All of this here about the set the battlefield is also not in red, but this wasn't there previously. So I don't know what's really new and what's not new in this. Okay. So here's the thing, right? I get some people in Discord don't like me. They're irrational. I get it. I get some people in PB probably don't like me. They're irrational. I get it, right? Whatever. Not everyone's rational. I get it. But when you're witnessing me doing this, it's not like I get what you're doing and I'm trolling you or I'm making your life difficult. I am your customer. I spend thousands of dollars on your product and I don't understand half this stuff. And this is like sort of my job. This is what I do on YouTube, is to figure out Conquest stuff. The 99% of people out there that don't understand the esoteric nature of these rules interactions or the complexity of language or concepts and intent, all these things. They just go by what other people tell them. All right. And I could easily, here's where the honesty on my part comes in. I have to be honest about this. I could easily have a YouTube channel where I just toe the line and I just say things. I could just quickly read this and tell you, oh, scoring, you just need more stands, and move on. 99% of people would just listen to that, see me as an authoritative source, sub to me, and keep following because they come to me for answers. But that's dishonest. That's a dishonest content creator because this is not clear and I don't understand this. So what you're getting from me is an honest view of how someone sees this game from outside the ivory tower. Okay? So you have the people in the ivory tower who make the game. You have people like near the top floor who test the game. You have people in the middle floor who take the game seriously like me. And then you have the rest of the people at the bottom floor just chilling and hanging out and having fun, trying to figure out how the game works, and they don't get it. Right? Because the questions I get in my chat were the questions I was getting like 6 months ago in the game. They're the exact same questions. And part of communication is also this lettering. Sometimes it's red lettering for changes, sometimes it's not. Which is also, it's non-objective and it's not clear to convey to the customer something has changed. The product you've purchased has changed. Like if you buy a car and they give you like an update on the part, they tell you what the update was. They don't just tell you, some updates here are fine and some updates here we're not going to tell you. No, they tell you all the updates because they want to keep you around as a customer. It's also a safety issue. But this is also a knowledge issue. I need to know what changed. So, because what I want to do is just sit down and have a 10-minute video about tournaments and scenarios, and I can't because I literally can't understand and read this correctly. Okay? This is like some postmodernistic Immanuel Kantian subjective trash. This is created in a set like this is like Plato stuff, if you know Greek philosophy. This is what Plato specialized in. Creating confusion so you'll believe all the mystical crap he'll teach you. I'm sorry, this actually just pisses me off. This really does. I want to be that nice content creator, but unfortunately I'm honest and I can't. I'm driving down the road that was laid before me and I'm hitting all these speed bumps. I'm like boom, 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 boom. I'm like, oh my god, I can't really. Good lord. Okay. And most people, they just stick their head in the sand and they just kind of ignore life. They just float. I can't do that. Right? Okay, so moving on as best as I can. I'm assuming objective markers are the same. It's not in red, so I'm skipping it. Destroying objective markers. Skipping it. Let's go over the red stuff. Objective markers cannot be targeted by any special rule, draw event, action, or ability before the beginning of round 2. Okay, I guess maybe that might include supremacies or something. I don't know. Objective markers cannot be targeted by spells. Finally. I mean, this should have been done like 10 months ago. This took way too long. Objective markers are not, or at least have effective range for spells. Objective markers are not affected by hits or special rules that test a target's resolve characteristic. All right, cool. Everything else with objective markers are still the same. All right. So far, okay, we're moving on. Let's look at some scenarios. Divide and Conquer looks the same. Whoa, wait a sec. Whoa. No, it's not. Were these allied and enemy before? Hold on. Let's see. Nah, they weren't. Look at that. It's adorable. Interesting. Oh, what the F? This is stopping from people from scoring early in the game. Right? So if you're a Nord player and you're trying to score early, now you can't unless you put your fragile regiments in danger. Well, I'm not here to... Well, yeah, the scenarios do matter. This Divide and Conquer, the way it's currently set up, it's for armies that are strong in the late game. So what you want, like Dweg and OD, Elite Wadroon, really strong in the late game. This is not friendly to armies that want to score early. So be careful with this, because if you're player 1, you cannot score any of this stuff here that's in red. And if you're player 2, you cannot score any of the stuff that's in the blue. This creates an interesting swirl in the middle, but if you wanted to have that, you could just remove these objectives and then just have the 2 in middle. But then someone may say, but this also then creates interesting scenarios where you want some flanking regiments to run around the board and to capture zones in the back. Conquest doesn't really play that way at 2,000 points. Player 2 is going to have their range units to sit in the back, and they're going to have like 1 or 2 units just kind of chilling back there, just supporting right here in the center. The game doesn't really exist where you just have this open lane and you just run stuff in the back unopposed. So Divide and Conquer is interesting. It's very interesting. My initial emotional response is no good as a Nord player, but emotions don't matter. I'll have to play this and see how it pans out. But this seems to be a mid to late game scenario. Declined flank. Declined? I think he refused? Like, declined like when you go to a bank and they don't give you a loan. Declined flank. Whatever. This is new. Before we had Last Stand. So, one positive thing that PB did. Got rid of these short edge deployments. Thank you. Thank you for getting rid of them. Those games were boring and nothing happened till round 4. Absolutely nothing happened. Pretty bad. You'd spend the first 3 or 4 rounds just walking up the board, falling asleep. So thank you for getting rid of that. But this is now declined flank. Play 6 6-inch objective zones as shown in the diagram. Cool. At the end of each supremacy phase, interesting, the first player chooses one of the 6 objective zones. Then the second player does the same. The second player cannot choose the same objective zone as the first player. Okay. Until the end of the round, players do not gain victory points for seizing those objective zones. Okay. I like that. That's very interesting. Still a bit far from... Well, you know what? I'll move this real quick. Wow. Wow. PB, I know Nords are the most underperforming army in the game, objectively through statistics from various sources, but who bad touched you as a Nord player? You do not want early scoring to be done easily, huh? It's like you want every army to just move to the center and just fight and have the same play style, the same fight style. None of these zones are closer to the none of these zones are closer to the reinforcement zones. Like over here, Last Stand, you had this big pie right here. Yeah, another pie over here. See how they're close to the zones? They shuffled all the zones closer to the center. It is what it is. All right, so basically each round, your opponent and you pick one of these zones, and they just vanish for that round. You can't score them, which I think is an awesome mechanic. I think it's great. I like that mechanic. Okay? You gain 2 VPs for each objective zone they are seizing. Additional 2 VPs if they're seizing 3 objective zones, and an additional 1 VP if they're seizing all the objective zones. So this is not... You don't get any points for killing anything in this scenario. So this scenario, I think... I like this scenario. This one's really fun. Oh my gosh. This has turned into my favorite scenario. I haven't played on it yet, I like the fact that you can remove the zones to mess with scoring. So if you're falling behind on scores, you can stop your opponent from scoring. Let's say if he has his strongest regiment on the right side of the flank, or the right side of the battlefield, you remove that one. So he's not going to score that. Or if you think your opponent is going to move onto a zone to score, you can remove that zone to stop them from even thinking of going there. So this, you can use objective zones to bait people or remove them to refuse their scoring. I like this scenario. What? Bro, this scenario is awesome. Okay. Breakout, I think this is the same as before. It looks like Breakout is the same as before. Yes, looks like it's exactly the same. So, oh wait, no, hold on. Oh, the zones, only the center objective zone is locked by markers. That's interesting. This creates an issue where, do you have the resources to unlock this zone while weathering fire? Or do you have Ashen Dawn or Thunder Riders so you can just charge the marker and destroy it instantly, right? Or do you want to concentrate on the flanks to score immediately? I like this one as well. I like this. This is nice. Breakout was improved, absolutely. Echelon. What did they do to Echelon? Echelon seems unchanged. Yeah, Echelon looks exactly the same. Looks like some wording got moved around, but I can't really... Oh, yeah. Players gain additional 2 victory points if they have destroyed 2 or more objective zone markers during the same round. Here it was 3, so I guess they nerfed that by 1. Why? I have no idea. Maybe it's for consistency, which I'd agree with. Just have the number 2 constantly printed on the page instead of 2, 2, and then 3. I like that consistency. Easier to understand. But then they have the gain 3 victory points for your objective marker they have destroyed during the round. Now they have 3. Whatever. Be nice if there's just 2s all around. That's weird. My rationale was it's 3 to 3. It'll go to 2 to 2. But now they went from 3 to 2. It's just weird. I don't know what tester played this and decided -1 point will balance the scenario out. That's just odd. Echelon has smaller zones and other places. Correct. Well, all the 12-inch zones are gone. They're all gone. They don't exist anymore in this game. It's either 6 inches or 9 inches. So I'm not really touching on that too much here, because that's just assumed. And yes, they're also moved up. Everything was also moved up, which I touched on earlier. I don't know if you missed it or not. All the zones have been placed towards the center. Oh! Oh! Oh no. Oh boy, see, my mind is swimming. So you guys are seeing the thought process of someone who's seeing this for the first time. Sorry, Tyler. Your slingers, with their medium character, can't hide in the back and score with their 18 inches. You now have to come forward. Guess what's going to be now coming forward? Bow Chosen, another 14-inch shooting regiments like Fireforged, Dweg Casting, putting aside the infinite range Dweg Casting, which I think is pretty awesome. Oh wow. The my friend Josh's Katydids with their 20-inch shooting can no longer just sit in the back and shoot. As a 12-inch range Bow Chosen enjoyer, all I can say to my friends is, welcome to the club. Move your dudes forward now. Okay. All right. Look how I'm smiling, and I'm liking this a lot. This was cute. This was a clever way. I don't know who the individual is that did this for the scenarios, but if they were intending to weaken volleying because their volleying regiments can't score as easy as they could before. Kudos, you did it. I like this because Nord shooting was already nerfed, so don't bother me one bit. Oh yeah, wow. Okay, interesting. Moving on to... So Echelon is fine. I like Echelon. Forlorn Hope, Scenario 5. Once again, these zones were made smaller and moved towards the center. Oh yes, this is Melee Town right here. How about the points? You know, let me do this. Hold on. There we go. Okay, cool. But now my head's blocking it. Should be okay. Looks like the points have changed for Forlorn Hope. Yes. Before, you would gain 4 victory points if you seized 3 or more objective zones. Now you gain 3 if you seize. It's interesting. What is with these single point victory point nerfs? I don't get this. It doesn't, as a player, it doesn't make any sense. It doesn't change the game. I don't get it. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Whoa, hold on. They've also removed scoring for character stands. No, they didn't. They removed it for regiments and warlords. Hold on. Oh, so some... they still kept the scoring for warlords and character stands. How about regiments? I don't see regiments here anywhere. Hold on. Oh, and they also put this in here. I just noticed. Players gain 2 VPs if they have slain the enemy warlord this round. This may not be scored more than once per game. So this is a buff against 100 Kingdoms. So even though 100 Kingdoms have been winning a lot of tournaments lately, they get their slight buff. Continue winning 100 Kingdoms. I don't see anything about regiments so far. This is all warlords. Yeah, so we're on Scenario 5. Scenario 5 has a character stand, but not warlords. Interesting. Okay. So, have they removed regiments from this completely? Scenario 6, off balance. This remains the same, except that the 12-inch plates have been reduced to 9-inch zones. And there are 4 bullet points. Here are 4 bullet points. 4 victory points, 2, 2, and 2. This looks like roughly the same. Oh, the gain additional 2 victory points if you are seizing 2 objective zones has been nerfed to 1 victory points, which is just, I don't get it. It's just weird. Otherwise, the same. Off balance has, oh, wait a second. It's not the same. They moved the actual markers closer towards the center. Interesting. The center here is going to be really hard to maneuver around with these markers. But other than that, I like the change of having these markers closer to the center. It incentivizes your opponent to send a flanking regiment or a quick regiment around to try to destroy it. But I typically call these markers that you see that are friendly. Let's say you're player 2 and you want to destroy these red ones. I typically call these win more markers in the area. And that's basically true in many of the games I've seen played in my area. Is that you typically destroy enemy markers once you're already winning the game. So you just get more points. And that'll still be the case here. Because when you're playing Conquest, you don't have time to dedicate a regiment to punch this marker on round 5 and 6 when you have this swirling melee of death all around you. So off balance, I'm not too keen on it at the moment. I just see it as clogging the center up a little more, just for movement purposes. Scenario 7 is melee. What has changed here? Just the size of the plates. How about scoring? 2 victory points. It's the same. It's the same. It's the same. Warlords, warlords. Ah! Scenario 7. We have our first enemy regiment being destroyed. So in this scenario, you score for everything. You score 2 victory points for holding a 6-inch objective zone, 3 victory points for 9-inch objective zones, 2 victory points if you're seizing 2 or more objective zones, 2 victory points for warlords, 2 victory points for each character stand, and 2 victory points for enemy regiment. Why wasn't this one here? Players gain additional 2 victory points if they're seizing 2 or more objective zones. Why wasn't this one nerfed to 1 like the other ones were? This is an inconsistency like bothers me. The other ones got nerfed down to 1. And this is the first one which kind of breaks that mold. It almost seems like this one here, the rules were just cut and paste. No, well, it couldn't be because they changed the size of the objective zones. Oh, it's whatever. Melee, I have always enjoyed playing Melee. I enjoy it, and it seems I'll still continue enjoying playing Melee. Scenario 8, Bulwark. Alright, what in the living heck? This is interesting. I like this change. I really do, you know why? Whenever I would play Bulwark with somebody, they would end up on round 2 just having something on this marker and just destroying it. Well, I guess the marker is in the same spot. Oh, if they destroy it, then they can immediately capture it at the end of the round. Ooh, that incentivizes aggressiveness. Wow. I like this change. This will reward really aggressive players. This will then also reward players who can capitalize on the aggressiveness of the opposing player. So if you see me running towards marker B to score on round 2 to destroy it, maybe with some Flame Inferno Automata or some, I don't know, whatever, you can then run your ranged guys up to shoot me. Yeah, you see, yeah, Mr. Mike Jones. My initial response, if you saw the earlier in the video, to the scenarios, I didn't like the changes until I went through the scenarios, and I enjoy the changes very much. Early scoring. Here's the thing. Early scoring was nerfed against all armies, to be fair, but it hurts Nords the most. But being able to just sit on a zone sit on an objective zone close to your reinforcement zone with a range 18 or 20 regiment is no longer feasible. So Nord early scoring got nerfed a little bit. Actually, my got nerfed a lot. But then armies like OD and Wadroon with slingers and katydids, they also got nerfed to force them to come closer. So if the overall vision of the designer is to make sure the armies are just fighting in the center, then this has been achieved. Absolutely. So here's the thing. Objectively, if the creator of these rules wants the game to be played a certain way, it doesn't matter if I don't like it or not. This is the creator's property, and if he wants his property to be used in a certain way, then good on him. If I choose to continue playing the game, basically using the property as he wants me to use it, I have to change my habits in the game, which I could easily do. As you know, Mike, I don't mind running all melee with Nords. That's fine. I'll fight the middle all day long. But for other players out there who are watching this, if you're used to marching your ranged regiments onto the board and then towing the back of the zone to score, mainly with slingers and katydids and whatever other range stuff that might have really long, or volley regiments that have really long range, you can't do that anymore. You have to now come fight in the middle, or at least move your dudes closer. Yes, declined flank looks fun. Yes, that's, let's see. Yes, I don't know if you saw me talk about it. It's my favorite scenario right now. Easily my favorite one. Easily. Go back and watch that. I don't want to waste too much time on that, but yeah. So that's Bulwark. Bulwark was improved. Scenario 9. Bottleneck is removed. Yeah, it's the short edge deployment. Gone. Thank you. So it's been replaced with Foresight. Place 5 6-inch objective zones as shown in the diagram. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay. All right, here's another weird one. At the end of each supremacy phase, the first player secretly chooses an objective zone other than the central one. Then the second player does the same. It is possible that the second player has chosen the same objective zone as the first player. It should say, it is possible that the second player might have chosen the same objective zone as the first player. Whatever. To ensure the selection remains secret, players may write their selection onto a folded piece of paper or hide an amount of dice, etc. Cool. Thank you for putting that out there for players to understand. Okay. At the start of the victory phase, that's at the end of each round, both players reveal which objective zone they have chosen. Until the end of the round, players do not gain victory points for seizing those objective zones. Should both players have chosen the same objective zone, then that objective zone awards double the amount. Okay, so refuse flank, the previous scenario, you and your opponent know up front at the beginning of the round what you're not scoring on. Foresight is the same on principle, with the additional concrete difference being that you don't know what you won't be scoring on until the end of the round. And if you and your opponent pick the same one, you get double the victory points, bro. This is amazing. I think this one might be my favorite, or it's tied with declined flank. Oh my, I'm actually tearing how good this is. Like legit. Like I'm smiling so much that my tear ducts are pushing some tears out. Like I like this. This is the game personified. Yes. Beautiful. Gain 2 victory points for each objective zone they are seizing for the players. Gain an additional 2 victory points if they're seizing 2 objective zones, not including zone 3. What? Players gain an additional 1 victory point if they're seizing objective zone 3. What is it with objective zone 3? Okay, hold on. Wait, what? So here's objective zone 3. It's marked right there. Players gain 2 victory points for each objective zone they are seizing. So if I hold 1, 3, and 4, I get 2, 4, and 6. Right? 6 points. Players gain an additional 2 victory points if they're seizing 2 objective zones, not including zone 3. So if I have 1, 3, and 4, I'll gain the 2, 4, 6 points, but I do hold 2 other ones. So I gain an additional 2 victory points. So I get 2, 4, 6, 8. Players gain an additional 1 victory point if they're seizing objective zone 3. So I'll get 2, 4, 6, 8, 9. So if I hold zones 1, 3, and 4, I'll get 9 points. But let's say the players can remove it. That's so interesting. You can remove the other ones, stopping you. So if player 2 removed 1, and I removed 2, at the end of the round, 1 goes away. So I no longer have 1, 3, and 4. I just have 3 and 4. So I get 2, 4 points. But I don't have the second bullet because I'm missing number 1. Because 3 cannot be included. So I don't get the 2 points, but I get the 1. So I get 2, 4, 5. I get the 1 for this last part. So I go from having 9 points to 5. This one is very interesting. And it's weird that it's just 3. Meaning, there is an asymmetry in this scenario. Because player 1 is closer to 3, and player 2 is further away from 3. Now, whether that matters tactically for scoring, I don't know. We'll have to play the game, play this scenario a couple times to figure that out. But I know that, remember, okay, earlier in the video, I did a quick snippet. Some of you might have caught it, where the terrain rules said that, the games must be fair, and I quickly quipped, I don't believe in fairness in war games in this sense. This is what I'm talking about. I like asymmetrical stuff like this, where one player has an advantage over the other, but which one, I don't know. So the role to choose the side of the table matters in scenario 9. It doesn't matter in the other scenarios, but it matters in scenario 9. Now, whether being closer to 3 or not is advantageous, I don't know. It may be that players get so used to Foresight that 3 is like the death zone. It's always removed. It's always this. You don't go near it. It's like when you watch Wheel of Fortune and people always pick R, S, T, L, N, and E in every game because that's how you statistically win that game. It may be that Zone 3 either statistically will win you the game or lose you the game. And there's this like mental game of which side do you want. I like this. Kudos. Who wrote this? Who wrote this? I want to know. You deserve a pat on the back. This is insane. Scenario 10, head-to-head. Man, I got to now go through the script of this video to get all the scenario timestamps. I forgot to do that. Head-to-head was also changed by the zone being shrunk. That's about it. Let's see if the scoring changed. Let's see. Players gain 3 victory points. Victory points for 9. So far the same. So far the same. Players gain 2 victory points for every enemy character stand that has been destroyed. Character stand or regiment. Okay, this is the same. The scoring is the exact same. So this scenario has not changed. Head-to-head is a good scenario. It's really fun. Every time I play this against somebody, they always decide whether they're going to put all their resources onto this one zone on the right or try to outflank and get the zone opposite their reinforcement zone. If I'm player 1, do I go for B? This was actually the scenario that was in the finals at the tournament that Mike ran at the Collective, where me and my Nord opponent fought over this zone here, but I ran the majority of my Jotnars early to the opponent's zone here. You could watch that video on my channel here. Just check it out. It's a couple of weeks ago. But this was, and I love that scenario. It's a great scenario. It really tests how well you can split your forces apart for scoring. Parabellum, never change head-to-head. It is perfect. Not platonic perfect, where it's not real and it's irrelevant. I'm talking about objectively perfect. It's a really good scenario. Scenario 11, Maelstrom. The weird one. Mike, you told me it's been around since like day 1. And everyone's kind of used to. Has this one changed? Funny enough, because the zones were already 9 inches, and it was the only one that had 9-inch zones, it hasn't changed. And the scoring hasn't changed. It is exactly as it was. This time, they literally copy and pasted this page, and it was fine. I think Parabellum and the testers like Maelstrom so much, they changed all the 9-inch plates to 12-inch plates. All the 12-inch plates to 9-inch plates to match it. Of course, that's just an assumption. I have no idea. But Maelstrom is also a very fun scenario. I can see why it's been around this entire time. Grind them down. The zones were moved once again closer to the center. to ensure that players now fighting more in the center of the board instead of coward OD and Wadron players shooting from across the board. Oh yeah, 100 Kingdoms too. Mr. Bonk Table with your 1,000 regiments trying to score from the back. No more, bro. Move all those crappy crossbowmen closer to the center of the board so I can charge you. Thank you very much. Merry Christmas. Have a good day. Get bonked, table. Anyway. Grind them down. Has the scoring changed? Actually, all this changed. Scenario special rules. At the end of each supremacy phase, the first player chooses one of the objective zones that has no friendly regiments in range of it. And then the second player does the same. It is possible that the second player has chosen the same. Players score additional 3VPs if they have seized the objective zone they selected at the end of that round's supremacy phase. Awesome! So, I'm player 1, and Mike is player 2. And I have a regiment right here. You see where the mouse pointer is, right? At the end of round 2. At the beginning of round 3, Mike may not want me to score this zone here. So he'll choose this one to be removed. I like this. I really like this ability to mess with the zones. This is real tactful. And it fits Conquest so well. This really raises the ceiling of skill in this game. This is a godsend for experienced players. It's like when you subscribe to like an MMO and you've done all the content, and then they release like another endgame dungeon. These scenarios are like releasing endgame dungeon for the people who have nothing to do. They can now have something to do and continue playing the game. So new players might not appreciate moving the zones fully as they're still learning the core rules of their army in the game. But more experienced players are going to be like, wow, how do I use this to my advantage? And they might sit there and mathematically write down the statistics and stuff. This is actually great. I'm not a numbers crunching guy at all. So crunching these numbers doesn't appeal to me. But the physical action of playing the game and removing the zones just tickles me greatly. So I like this. Now for the scoring, we only have 2 bullet points. Gone are all these over here. Players gain 1 victory point for seizing an objective zone. Players gain an additional 2 victory points if they're seizing 2 or more objective zones. Wow, low scoring. Except for the 3. Interesting. I like this. I like this one a lot. And that's all of the scenarios. So now, let's do this. Give me a second while I close my screen, because I don't know what's going to appear on my, just give me a second. So how are you guys doing today in La La Land? How are you guys doing? Give me about 2 minutes to set something up, right? How's work coming along for you guys? Let's see. I'm trying to log into something. Why wouldn't it let me log in? I don't know. Like this one? Cool. I like these scenarios all around. Beautifully done. Beautifully done. Conquest. Let's see. Let's do that. Oh, I need... Give me a second while I pull up a couple of things here. Let's do this. We could do this. You know what? You guys can see this. That's fine. Keep it a little interesting. All right. Let's pull up. pull up you here. And we're going to go with... We're going to change that. We're going to save it? No, we're not going to save it. Let's just go with a create new. And we're going to go with custom. Yeah, sure. All right. All right, cool. Divide and conquer. I think you guys might know what I'm doing, right? We're going to be doing a little tier list. Sure, why not, right? Last stand. Having a little fun this day, right? But Diego, you should make this his own video. You guys are watching me live. You should be rewarded for it. Breakout. Okay, so I've been very happy with what Parabellum has been doing the past couple of weeks. All the changes, they've been knocking it out of the park constantly. Good lord. Echelon. This company is different today than it was 8 months ago, and they've earned my respect. Well, they earned it a little while ago. They absolutely earned it. But more importantly than my respect, they earned my money. Forlorn Hope. I'll get to you in a second, Miha. Just give me a second, all right? So I could quickly just zip through this. Off balance. Actually, you know what? Foresight is very interesting. If Zone 3 is your home zone, you want to cancel it. So if your opponent also cancels it, you get double. But if they don't, you just lose the point. Yeah. Absolutely. It's pretty dang awesome, isn't it? Pretty dang awesome. This is going to be melee. The tactical ceiling that it can give a player is out of this world. Whoa! And once again, I am glad those short edge deployments are out of the game. One, those games were boring. And two, it was a nightmare if you're running a tournament and those tables are placed side to side and you can't reach across the table to move your regiments. It's a physical issue, a practical issue. What is that? I don't know what that is. All right, bottleneck. Head to head. Whoa! Head to head. And finally, actually not finally, got two more to go. Maelstrom, which I'm sure I'm going to misspell. If I do, that's fine. I actually did, and I fixed it. Hopefully it's still not misspelled. Hopefully it's still not misspelled. Grind them down. Yes. Grind them down. All right, cool. Now I'm going to grab all these little homies. I'm going to export as PNG. We'll just create a new folder. Sure. Let's go to Template Maker. The tier list. Let's see. We're going to go... Where's the new? Is it thumbnails? Ah, here it is. Cool. Let's grab them all. And let's submit. All right, you guys ready for some tier making fun? Sure, why not? Let's go to presentation mode. There we go. Cool. Why not? I'll timestamp all this stuff later. So the first scenario, and these are based on my previous experience with the game, coupled with my assumptions Oh, these are actually the new ones here. My assumptions. So, divide and conquer. Divide and conquer. I'm going to give this one. I'm not going to say for an hour and go over each one. I did that earlier. Actually, which is the first one here? This is Breakout, right? This is all kind of like a mess. They're like a mess. Well, let's do this. This is Breakout. Oh, it cuts them off. Oh, I see. I see what Tier Maker did. Well, let me just put these all out here. Hold on, so I can read them. Actually, it looks the same. This is Divide and Conquer. Oh, the pictures didn't come out right. Divide and Conquer. I'm gonna give just a B right in the middle for now. Okay, Divide and Conquer. That's the old one. We don't need this anymore. It incentivizes flanking. It incentivizes players running to the middle to fight. It is a little win more-ish. I don't like this win more stuff. I'm not a big fan of it. So you know what? I'm going to bring it down to a C. And if you guys disagree with my rankings, let me know. Either right now live or after the video is up. And then tell me why. You know? So let's go on to the next one. You know what? Let's move this over. Scenario 2. Declined flank. Bruh. Well, let's see if I can find declined flank. Declined, Breakout, Echelon, Forlorn, Head-to-Head, Last Stand, Maelstrom, Melee, Balance, Bulwark? Declined. Is this it? Do I even have decline flank on here? Oh, I didn't. I don't have it. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. I do. Oh, I named them the other ones. What did I do? Oh my gosh. I grabbed the two old ones. So scenario 2, decline flank. Decline flank. And the other new one is going to be, let's see, Head-to-Head, Maelstrom, Foresight. There it is. Foresight. Foresight. So we're going to want, what the heck? That's weird. Foresight. Okay, so Foresight and Decline Flank, we're going to export them. Plow. It's in the correct folder. Great. Oh, I have to make a new one then. So let's do this. Let's go to the tier maker. We can just go back. We'll go back. We're going to create a new one completely. So let's just reload this page. We're going to click make a template, make my own. Conquest scenarios. All right, let's get the proper ones. The ones I don't want. Here, let's see. So get rid of Last Stand and get rid of, which was the new old one? Scenario 9. So Bottleneck and Breakout, Bottleneck and Last Stand are gone. So Bottleneck and Last Stand. So we're going to go ahead and just grab all of these and get rid of Bottleneck and Last Stand. There we go. Image orientation. Landscape? Portrait? Maybe it's portrait, I think. So they're not cut off. Right. Submit. Different template name. Oh. Conquest scenarios. Real, yo. Okay, there we go. We're going to grab them all, and we don't want Last Stand and Bottleneck, right? Those were the two? Last Stand and Bottleneck. Correct. So all these, you know what? What am I doing? Bottleneck we can just delete. And Last Stand we just delete. How about that? Is it going to give me more than 12? Oh, exactly 12. Okay, cool. And I want the image orientation to be a landscape. Okay, it's a little better. There we go, a little better. I think you copied the name off the old PDF. Correct, I did. Yes, I did. All right, let's go back to Scenario 1. Divide and Conquer. I already talked about it. Don't need this up anymore. We're going to go ahead and take Divide and Conquer and put that in C. The win more nature of it is not something that I like in the game. And the images are still cut off. But whatever. We can read them, basically. That's fine. Scenario 2, Decline Flank. I mean, come on. Decline Flank is amazing. High ceiling. It's fun AF, as you young kids say nowadays. So, Decline Flank is S tier. Easily. I'm going to have so much fun playing that scenario. Now, will this tier list change? You know what? In a month from now, I'll go ahead and update this tier list. Have its own video. It's more content, right? So Decline Flank is S. It might go down, who knows, later on. Breakout. I love the change to Breakout, removing the markers from the sides. Very much improved. Yeah, I mean, Breakout is going to get, let's see, Breakout's going to get an A from me. Much improved. Really fun, really good. Okay. You have the option to try to go for the middle, to unlock it, to get more points. You have the option to just forget about the middle and just run around the sides to attack the opponent. I mean, this is really, really well done. I like this. Really well done. Echelon is a win more that incentivizes fighting in the middle. It really hasn't changed much since the last time. I don't like these two win more stands in the back. They're irrelevant in the game unless you're already winning more. So Echelon is going to go down to D for me. Just not a fan of Echelon at all. Don't like it. This scenario does not offer anything unique that the other scenarios can't give you. Don't like it. Scenario 5, Forlorn Hope. This is the one that has a no reinforcements in the center, which I'm fine with. It's fine. You know, it's okay. Everything is now crunched in the middle because the zones are put in. There's a lot of central fighting going on here. Central fighting with some middle clutter was always an issue. And there's no really kind of gimmicky stuff. So Forlorn Hope is like the definition of middling. Right here. Nothing real special about it, but I wouldn't be mad if I played it. Scenario 6, Off Balance. This is another one of those wind more ones with these little markers in the back. These are also traps for newer players because they'll dedicate resources to attack these without understanding resource allocation for your forces. You know, it's like for your General Patton. You know where to put your tanks in Northern Africa or whatever, or in Germany to fight, or in France, wherever this guy was at. You know, I don't know. I'm Brazilian. I don't know world history. If you're a new commander, you don't know where to put your tanks. New players are going to go ahead and take their regiments and dedicate them towards these stands in the back somehow, and it's going to be their downfall. Okay? So Off Balance is not really a favorite of mine at all. Off Balance, I'm going to give it a C. It's not one I really enjoy playing that much, and it can be a trap for newer players. Scenario 7, Melee. I mean, this is good old fun. You score for doing everything. You score for killing the opponent's stuff, regiments, characters, warlords, and you score for holding the zones. So Melee is that scenario where you play it how you want to play it. You choose your path to victory. And for that, I like Melee a lot. Melee is getting an A. Is it better than Breakout? Yes. Can I move them around? Yes, we'll do that. Scenario 8, Bulwark. This was very much improved from before. By moving the zones in the center of the battlefield, instead of having them kind of off-kiltered, it now rewards aggressive players. Big time. It really does reward aggressive players, which then gives counterplay for non-aggressive players to allocate their forces to counterattack the aggressive player. So Bulwark is also well done. Oh, hold on. I didn't even see this when I was reading Bulwark before. At the ends of rounds... Oh my god. 3, 5, 7, and 9. Players gain 2 additional victory points for seizing the left objective zone. At the end of rounds 2, 4, 6, and 8, players gain 2 additional victory points for seizing the right objective zone. Because movement is kind of... Marching in this game is stale. There's no dynamic movement. I think, just Strix have dynamic movement flying across the board 20 inches, right? When you put a regiment here on the right side of this of the board on round 1 or 2, it's basically going to be here the whole game, unless it moves really fast, right? What am I saying? When you're fighting over these zones, it's not like you're going to hop between the 2 zones to score. If you dedicated your dudes on the left side, you're just going to score better on the left side. If you dedicated your dudes on the right side, the same. So this right here is a smokescreen. You really can't plan for this. What regiments could you plan for this? It would have to be something that marches 20 inches with a scoring stand. Okay? Whoa. I don't even know what it could be. So, as cute as this is just bookkeeping on different rounds for really marginal scoring. So I'm not really going to factor this in. To me, this doesn't exist. You just score these, Tauntor. You just score these additional points as you're playing the game. You don't really plan for this stuff. Okay? So I'm not going to factor this in for my... actually, I will a little bit. This is a lost opportunity, I guess. Does it remove anything from Bulwark? No. But it can add some visual confusion. I could already imagine players in my store, Tree Monkey, well, where they see this, and they're going, why is this crap in the game? This is unnecessary, and it's just convoluted. So unfortunately, I will have to mark... I was high on Bulwark, but this unnecessary confusion, especially for new players, was not needed. So Bulwark, I was going to give an A, but I'm going to knock Bulwark down to a B. Is it above a Forlorn Hope? Yes. The nature of the aggressive player in Bulwark is pretty cool. Next we have Foresight. This is the cool one where you secretly take the markers, you secretly take these objective zones away. And then you have that weird scoring with zone 3. I have to do this. Foresight, S. It just seems too cool to not give it S. It's just awesome. I love that so much. Also that these two are changes from the short edge deployment to make such interesting and unique scenarios in a field of already packed 10 scenarios, plus these would make 12. It's great. I like the lateral thinking here to make these unique. Let's hop over to Head-To-Head. Head-To-Head I've spoken about before. I love the flanking nature of Head-To-Head. Okay? Now, why does Head-To-Head work, but the other ones with the Windmores don't work? Let's say, like, off balance. Because these are almost symmetrical. They really don't matter. Same with the first scenario. Like this here, doesn't really matter. You score these if you're already winning the game. It's not like you plan to score these because you put all your stuff on one side of the board. You don't really do that in Divide and Conquer. But in Head-To-Head, you do plan for it. You plan whether you're gonna go for the large objective zone or the smaller but further away objective zones, which give you more points, right? Or if you split your forces between the two of them. Head-To-Head provides amazing opportunities in this game for fun moments. Head-To-Head gets as S tier, easily S tier. And we'll go with the next scenario. Maelstrom. Maelstrom is a classic. I'm not part of that classic tradition. I've not played this game long to be part of that. I played Maelstrom, 5 years ago kind of crowd. It's fun. The scoring is a little wonky, and it's perfectly serviceable as a... I don't have the rose-tinted goggles for Maelstrom. When Maelstrom comes up, I'm like, oh, okay, it's fine. Like, I never have any issue with it. Maelstrom is another one of those middle of the pack. I'll put it at the top of B, And Grind Them Down, which was improved from the previous Grind Them Down. This one has the... Let's see. Oh, this is the one where you remove the zones away so your opponents can't score on them. Very interesting, and it's going to piss a lot of players off. I can't place my finger on it. Something in my subconscious doesn't want to give this an S. It wants to give it an A. Now, why would that be? There is no logical reason for that emotion, because this provides the same tactical fun as the other ones. And it could be any of the markers, right? Oh, it can't be the center one. Yeah, now in my head that I'm playing this with somebody in my head, right? I'm playing a game. You remove that one, you remove this one, so you can't score it. You don't know it's going to happen. Next round, boom, now you're not going to score because it's gone. I like the timing of this. You know what? My emotions wants to give it an A, but logically it provides the same tactical thing. I think it might be because of the close nature of all the zones. How they're just kind of close to each other. The other ones where you could remove them, they're much further spread apart. That's, I think, is what it is. Let's go to scenario 2. Yeah, decline flank is the same thing. This one almost seems like you're going to fight in the center of the board. And removing the zones will be annoying, but you really don't plan for that. Like, I didn't plan my regiment to run down the left side or the right side. My whole army is basically going to be around the center anyway, fighting and shooting. That's the reason why I get it, see? That is what's called introspection. When you have an emotional response to something and you don't know why, you have to use reason with an understanding of logic to figure out why you feel a thing, to validate that emotion. And yes, just putting Grind Them Down on A without any objective reasoning to it is pure subjectivism, and it's not objective. It's just pure emotionalism. It's faith, it's whim, it's just how I feel, and that's not proper. But now that I know why, it shouldn't be an S, because the other two are more spread out, which allows more tactical fun, removing the zones. This one's a little more crunched, so the idea of removing the zones isn't as appealing to me, since you're already there in the middle fighting anyway. But this is the one where I think we'll move around a month from now if I play it enough times. So I'm going to give it an A, and I'm going to put it at the back of A. So overall, in my opinion, the scenario season that we have now, probably for the next 6 months, is going to be really fun. No more short edge deployment in tournaments. No more having to reach across a table to move your regiments. And you have some cool scenarios where you get to remove the marker, move the objective zones, and mess with your opponent and improve your game. High ceiling of skill here. I like this. So, anyway, guys, time for me to go eat a burger or something, some food. Thank you all for watching and taking the time out of your day for chilling with me. I'm going to timestamp this video maybe like within an hour from now. I'm going to be able to eat. I'll scrub through it and see what I can find for timestamps. But anyway, I love Conquest. It's a fun game, so I dedicate to making videos to it. Once again, I know people they're more taken back when others give what they may perceive to be negative criticism, and it's not. It's just, honest opinions. And the negativity is not emotion driven. The negativity is that because this aspect of the game or the business could be better for the business and the customer. Could be more enjoyable, more fun if these were changed. And it's not based on how I feel, it's based on playing war games for almost 35 years, right? I've been playing war games since the late 80s, since I was 8 years old. And I know Parabellum's a new company, new individuals running things, but I've seen this all before. and I know what people like. I've seen what people like, and when I first got into the game, Parabellum was its direction was like this, and after about 4 months, it's like this. It's whoosh, beyond the moon, like beyond the moon. I mean, just beautiful. You know, I mean, that's why I showed you guys. That's why I bought 7 boxes of Berserks, just so one, they get money, and two, so I could, because I enjoy the game. I enjoy the game, right? Like I told you guys, I have almost over 23,000. Yes, 23,000 points of Tyranids for 40k, and this year is like the year of the Tyranids. Last year was too, actually. So you'd think I'd be playing Tyranids all the time. No, that game and that company, boring, just boring, just not fun. At the end of the day, it's just not fun. But Conquest is fun. God. Also because my local players whine about everything, and I love it. I'm talking about you, Jason. The second somebody places a regiment on the board is empty. I place a Raider regiment on the board. He's like, oh, come on, dude. Like, Jason, I love you. You've burned into my mind. Great. Oh my god. Anyway, see, I'm so happy with the player base in my area, and the game is so much fun. Oh my gosh. You should do an update video after a couple of weeks of playing. Yes, thank you very much for the suggestion. I'm going to maybe wait 2 months. Because even though I play about 2 games a week, I don't know if I'll have enough expertise with all of these scenarios as they currently are. But about 2 months I'll do it. I said 1 month earlier. 1 month is not enough. About 2 months, you know. So tonight I'm going over to the Collective in Orlando to play with a bunch of people. I'll be playing with my new either Dweg or Nord rules. They don't know until I show up with it, right? They don't know. Last week I showed up with, 9 Infernal Automata and 6 Steel Forged. I had an ovens list, and it was pretty interesting. It was a fun time. Fun times all around. We'll see what I show up with this week. So, anyway, guys, thank you for hanging out with me. Thank you for